Tour Junkies. We're the Tour Junkies.
What's going on, golf addicts? Welcome to the Tour Junkies Golf Show on the Better Sports Network. I'm DB. I got Pat Perry with me. We're going to have a fun show today. We're going to recap the Waste Management, including the mullet streaker that went viral at TPC Scottsdale. We're going to talk about a rules issue that happened at the Waste Management. We're obviously going to preview this week's tournament, the Genesis Invitational, hosted by Tiger Woods, who's also playing in the event. We've got a special guest, Travis Fulton, one of the best golf instructors around, also great host of the Stripe Show podcast. Travis is going to come on for a little bit and help you get geared up for the golf season. So it's going to be a great show, Pat. How are we feeling? You ready to rock and roll? Ready to get into this? Recap the Waste Management?
Ready to go. Excited to get going for the Genesis. The Waste Management was a fantastic tournament. And, of course, we get Tiger coming back this week. So there's a lot of things to talk about. Just ready to roll.
I mean, of course, you know, it sucks that neither one of us were on Scotty Scheffler. He was one of the favorites, short number. It was like 10-1 or whatever. It ended up not being Rory. It ended up not being Rahm, even though he was close, finished third. Scotty Scheffler was the guy. He repeated as champion at the Waste Management. Not easy to do. He just looked unstoppable. The Waste Management was a fun event. Obviously, Super Bowl Sunday. Hope you guys hit all your Super Bowl props. But the guy who really stole the show, Pat, of the Waste Management is one Mr. Sean McConnell, 27 years old. It is the mullet streaker. For those of you who did not see this, maybe we could pull up the picture of him on the green. Sean just runs out into the wide open fairways of TPC Scottsdale with booty short, like denim thong looking something
which
going on.
Quite a nice touch. Just the
the
denim deal. Yeah, I mean, it was nice.
But you can see here in the picture, 19th hole painted on his back with an arrow pointing down his crack. Now, I think 19th hole is a little cliche if you're going to paint yourself on a golf.
It's been played out before.
It has been done before. I think he should have gone with native area, which is a popular golf term, especially at TPC Scottsdale, where you hit it in the desert. They say you hit it in the native area. Yeah. But he's pole dancing on the flag. He was running from the law. And, of course, the 250,000 wild, screaming fans that were there on Saturday, loving every minute of it. Cameras capturing every minute of this. The mullet flowing here in the wind. You can see, Sean he's in good shape. I mean, the quads look nice there in that picture. He's clearly, he's clearly found a gym wherever he's from, but he's 27 years old and he got arrested. Finally, he did jump in the lake at the Waste Management to evade police officers. He swam around a bit, did some laps. I mean, damn, I got to be honest. He's swam a good distance, honestly.
He did. He was tired when he jumped up on that Waste Management sign after swimming a few laps.
Yeah, swam out to the sign, the WM out there in the pond, and stood up on the sign and gave the people a little thing. Dude, it was fantastic. He looked like Joe Dirt and Michael Phelps had a baby or something. He was incredible. And then he swims to shore where he's arrested by like 20 police officers. Here's the mugshot. I mean, look at the flow. I mean, also, I'm sorry, but like, how did he get his hair to look like this coming out of the water? Look at the volume. Like,
yeah, it's
Sean he's a blessed man. If we're on, I mean, the mustache.
I wonder what his job was.
You think he got fired for this?
I'm sure he got fired for it, but I wonder what the job was before.
Okay, but seriously, like, I don't know. I wouldn't fire him. I know that. If he worked for Tour Junkies, I wouldn't fire him. Of course, we know that. But
yeah. But I like the little frown he's got going there. Just kind of like, I got arrested. But he is not really that worried about it.
He was arrested for, I think, trespassing, public indecency, one other small charge. Who knows, man? I don't know. But I loved it. The people at the Waste Management absolutely ate it up, Pat. I guess the question is like, what would it take? Maybe that's a question for you listening, you at home listening here on the Better Sports Network, maybe on demand in the app or watching us live streaming on the website or on our YouTube channel. What would it take? You're 27. Like maybe let's say let's say he's a, I mean, maybe if it wouldn't cost you your job, like maybe he's a developer and he works for some big company and he's just a guy on a computer writing code every day and they don't really care or they don't really know. He's probably not, but he doesn't strike me as a developer type. But let's say that's you. You're pounding some some silver bullets at TPC Scottsdale, and your boys are like, it's Friday, and your boys are like, hey, tomorrow you're gonna go in, you're gonna ride on your body, you're gonna wear this like speedo thing, and we'll pay you X to do this. And then I do think though, like once you do it, like once you're out there and you're running, I totally agree with like hamming it up. Like
As much as possible.
yeah, you're gonna get arrested if you just jump out there and like, do a cartwheel and then surrender yourself. Like you're still gonna get arrested and you're still gonna get charged for all the same stuff. So you may as well run, evade police, swim, jump on the sign, do all the things, right? Like you got to do that. But what would it take for you to do that, Pat?
It would take a lot of money. A
Listen,
lot.
listen, Live Golf's paying people a lot of money. Like everybody's got a price, right? We're finding that out. So like what would be the
Yeah.
price? Seriously, like would you do it for $1,000? No,
No.
probably not. Okay.
No, you'd have
5,000?
to I think you'd have to give me at least 6 figures, if not more.
6 figures?
To do that?
Stop. Okay, but what if I was like, okay, obviously, like
I mean, it depends on your age too. Like, I mean, if it's me right now, it would even be more probably. But like at 25 or 6, okay, maybe 15, 20 grand.
yeah, it's definitely not 6 figures, especially if your boys are like, listen, but we'll take care of your bail, whatever, so you don't have to worry about that. But like aside from that, it's definitely you're gonna start really thinking about it when you hit like to me like the 15, 20 grand mark.
Well, yeah. But then what if? Can you guarantee you keep your job? That's the thing I'm thinking of because the guy that did it last time lost his job like
Who?
last year or 2 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. Hmm.
Dude, we need to see if we can get Sean on the show.
I would love it.
I just had that thought. We need to see if we can get Sean McDonald on the show. Is it Sean? Sean McConnell. Sean
Yeah.
Patrick McConnell. We need to see if we can get him on the show. What an electric guy. It was fun to watch. I love the tournament. The crowd was a blast. We talked a little bit with our friend Travis Fulton about this golf tournament and what Waste Management does to just make this event so unique among the PGA Tour season, to draw the big crowds and to draw the big names. Even before this year when it was an elevated event, he still got big names here. It's just a fun place to be. Scottsdale, obviously, hopping for the Super Bowl. At least around that area, I guess in Glendale. I do have a couple ideas on that. I want to talk to him about. And Pat, let's throw this out there, like because we at the end of his show, the Stripe Show podcast that we did, we talked about another tournament host or sponsor that would do something similar to Waste Management and kind of lean into some of the chaos and make it an entertaining event and make it build something for the fans that's unique. Maybe we'll get into it a little bit next segment about like what that could possibly look like. I have a couple ideas. I think it could be interesting. The other thing we saw that I want to talk about with Waste Management is this ruling on Xander Schauffele's tee shot. I can't remember what hole it was. And Pat, you and I haven't had a chance to talk about this yet.
Yeah.
But I don't like this. I think this is bullshit, frankly. If we can put up the picture of this is a picture of the ball. This is where his ball ends up, clearly boned, right
Yeah.
on top of this tree. No shot. Would have had to take an unplayable, take a drop, penalty shot. Instead, he calls over a rules official saying that it's in a burrowing animal hole, which is a real rule. The first rules official says, nah, it's not. You got to play it. So he asked for a second opinion. Second rules official goes, oh, no, yeah, you're right. Free drop. And he gets a free drop and makes birdie on the hole. Now, do I blame Xander? 100% do not blame Xander for asking and for asking for a second opinion. But I think the PGA Tour has some weak-kneed, spineless, old fart white dudes that just want to be best buddies with all these PGA Tour players, and they don't want to tell them what they need to tell them, which is, nah, dog, that's a shitty tee shot. Take your drop, take your medicine, and play on. Like that's not a freaking burrowing animal hole.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I can't even see the whole thing. It's a very shady looking picture. I mean, I have not walked up there. Maybe he saw a chipmunk coming out of the base of the tree as he's walking up, and the
Stop.
chipmunk crawled over his
Stop.
golf ball. And so all of a sudden he's like, that's why he knew it was a burrowing animal, because he just said that. And I don't even know if a chipmunk is a burrowing animal, but still,
I think it is. I
and
think.
one of the officials like said it didn't want to let him have the drop. So it
Okay,
can't be
yeah,
all
there's
officials
the
that are
one
like this.
guy. There's the one guy, but it's just so lame to me, and the fact that we don't have video on this interaction, that we don't have mic'd up on this interaction, how it went down. Because if it was Patrick Reed, if it were Bryson DeChambeau, who are obviously on live, a lot of other players, we would have. I mean, the cameras would not have left that player. So to me, it just looks kind of grimy that we
Here's
don't
what
have.
I wonder too. Like, when you get to these tournaments like this in the desert, there's a lot of different types of animals. You got iguanas and stuff.
Mhm.
I mean, you don't know what's happening. So they might have had a list of all these things that they could talk about, like if they got into trouble, and they're like, okay, I'm going down to number 3 burrowing animal. Like, and they, and
Uh,
so,
okay.
so I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
It's like
anyway.
the bees. Was it bees with Bryson?
It
What
was
was it?
ants too. Well,
Ant.
and bee was it ants and bees? Jeez, oh my god. Well, we broke down the waste management in ways you probably weren't expecting. That's okay. It's fun for us. It's something we haven't talked about yet with the waste management. We're gonna be done with the waste management. We're gonna move on with Travis Fulton in the next segment when we come back from the break. He's gonna help you get the cobwebs off your golf game to start the new year 2023. Stay right here on the Tour Junkies Golf Show on the Better Sports Network.
Tee off with the Tour Junkies on Better Sports Network.
Better Sports Network is sponsored by Lucra.
Now being joined by Dylan Robbins, the CEO of Lucra.
Lucra is a unique new platform, but it really has a basis and a very simple idea is that we think that people want to bet with their friends, right? Our product is built off the fact that the casual fan is at the bar or at their buddy's house and they're putting $5 on the game and they're doing it on Venmo. And I think that there's a huge opportunity to open the market up to all these casual fans. A lot of people who feel boxed out by the traditional sports books because they're too complicated or there's complex jargon. They don't understand the lines or the spreads. And so Lucra's goal is to just make it simple. And our favorite way of doing that is we just connect you directly with your friends. So it's a social platform. It's peer-to-peer. We're not the house. We don't take any risk on these wagers. We just are a marketplace to kind of connect you with your friends directly to engage. So it started as just a business for sports. We've expanded outside of sports now. We offer 150 recreational games, from cornhole to beer pong to darts to Wordle to Peloton. You name it. You can challenge your friends now on Lucra. And you've got all the gaming and tracking and stats and leaderboards to go with it to make it fun. So it's a bit about what we do, and excited to chat with you guys about it today.
What's the future growth of Lucra?
Good question. I think for us, it's really the expansion outside of sports. I think that we've proven that sports is a great model. We've got a ton of great customers who love our sports product, but we're really paving the way or really innovating on this recreational game side of our business as we think about all these unique categories and areas where people are competing. Spike ball, pickleball, all these things that are blowing up across the globe right now. Lucra is the first real way where people can bet with their friends on these games. And so we're getting a lot of new customers from that, a lot of brand awareness from that. I think we're just trying to iterate that product, make it more fun, make it easier. But we're going to keep our ethos the same, casual, social, and fun. That's what Lucra's about. Our average contest is $10. This is not about bankrupting your friends. It's not about winning big and paying your rent. It's about the magic of the moment and making that moment better by having $5 on the line. If you've ever played a round of golf on Sunday or watched a football game, you guys get it. You put a few bucks on it. It just changes the way you interact with that game. You watch it longer. You spend more money there. And it gives us a lot of time for us to, a lot of opportunity for us to partner with other brands because of that.
Better Sports Network is sponsored by Lucra. Winning is fun, and beating your friends is even better. Download the Lucra app today to challenge your friends and win money.
Now back to Tour Junkies on Better Sports Network.
BSN On Demand gives you access to all our talk shows whenever you want with the Better Sports Network app. You get our best interviews, features, and special events. BSN On Demand is included with all subscription plans. Just go to your user profile on the app and select a monthly or yearly package. Get that Better Sports Network app downloaded. That's how you can go back and listen to these great Tour Junkies shows, okay? Listen, thank you, everybody, for sticking around. We've got a great show still ahead. We talked about the waste management a little bit. Now we want to bring in our guest, Mr. Travis Fulton, the host of the Stripe Show Golf Podcast, TravisFultonGolf.com. One of our favorite instructors. We're not his favorite students, but he's one of our favorite instructors. He's handsome. Look at him there in Ponte Vedra. How we doing, Travis?
I'm good. I was just looking at some of Pat's swings in here from last year. And
Oh, dear. You got them saved? You haven't deleted
you
them?
want me to share them, Pat?
No, we've had enough of that recently.
Poor Pat.
Let me see.
How you guys doing? You how's the show? Congratulations, first off, and you guys have that winner last week, right? Well, you don't bet favorites, so Scheffler wasn't on the betting card. Yeah, you can't go Scheffler 11-1. That don't work.
No, Travis. It's the dog days of golf betting with all these short winners.
Yeah.
You know it. We were just talking about the real star of the waste management was Sean McConnell, the mullet streaker guy. We talked about him, but also we were on your show this week, the Stripe Show Golf Podcast, and we kind of ended it, and you got my wheels turned a little bit. We ended it. You were talking about these other PGA Tour host sites that should maybe take a page out of the waste management book and make the week entertaining, make it centered around the fan experience. Obviously not copying necessarily what the waste management does, but doing their own thing. You mentioned even possibly the Rocket Mortgage up there in Detroit, Michigan, legal sports gambling state. Maybe could do something with betting on site. But I had some other thoughts, and I want to just kind of run this around because we haven't talked about this. Let's think about what you could do. What would be a little bit outrageous and out there and hasn't been done before, but feasible? Okay. Tell me what you think. Let me just throw two ideas off of you here. This is just what you had my wheels turning. The first golf course to build a stadium hole around a par 5.
Yeah.
A full-blown par 5 stadium hole that would hold, I don't know how many people, but the whole thing is there. Okay. That's one thing. Now you got to worry about, loose drives getting blown, what the next one is really out there. Let's say it's a par 5. It's a driver all day, right? It's a driver hole all day. Nobody's laying up here, and maybe 200 yards out. So easily, even the bunters, like the Chez Reeves is gonna 200 yards out or something. You sell a little. You have a strip of seating all the way across the fairway, like across the hole. So and it works both ways. Where you can turn around, so you face this way, and they hit the ball over your head. And then they walk through a little tunnel right below you, and you wave to them, and then they come out the other side, and you watch them go hit their second shots, and you pay to sit right there. I don't know. Is that wild? Is that weird?
I don't know, boy. The liability on that.
That
seems.
You got to sign a waiver. You sign a waiver.
Man, that seems aggressive there, right? I mean,
yeah.
But I like where your head's at, though. This surrounding a hole is fun, right? The par 3, it's been done, and like you don't have to do everything that waste management does, but I think the discussion just alone, like brainstorming, you would start coming up with some ideas that might fit the identity of that place and the atmosphere. And to me, the two that come to mind are, first was Detroit up there in Rocket Mortgage and utilizing this gambling angle. We know that it's coming. It's legal in certain states. It is in Michigan, not in others, but they could certainly rally around that and get people there around something that has a buzz like that. You have to create some energy and be willing to lead with golf maybe as number 3. Waste management, was leading this charge, and they've been doing this a long time, and now the tour has come to them with a elevated event. But they're all about the experience and trying to attract a certain type of customer there that maybe just wants to be entertained and have a good time. It's very similar to the Top Golf model. And then all of a sudden you've got 225,000 in one day there. rallying around golf, but golf is kind of a little bit of an afterthought for some, and that's okay.
Yeah.
From that particular week. We don't want it every week like that, but I think you can find your identity in different ways, and Waste Management's done it. I think even down in West Palm, and the next sponsor of the Honda has an opportunity perhaps to do something a little different, because the Honda's lost its identity. And it's in a great spot, West Palm. There's tons of people down there, and there's tons of people in Florida, and you certainly could maybe do something a little different around that golf course.
Yeah.
It seems to me like you could have, like, especially like going back to DB's idea, like if you had an entire hole, like a par 5 where, these people are getting to see every single shot, not just an approach shot and a putt, but every single shot leading up to it. And then maybe you have some sort of gambling game and aspect to it. That's like, what's the most fun you have in a casino? It's at the craps table, right? And that's where the most people are yelling and having a good time. Like if you had some sort of game and like betting on site, like almost like a horse race or something, where like everybody's going for the same thing or they're against the same thing and everybody's going crazy. Like I think that's where you add a little bit of just extra fun into golf, and golf is kind of the secondary thing.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable, right? And I talked about on Monday in my podcast, like, when you're trying to grow in different sectors and markets, it's uncomfortable. You have to make yourself uncomfortable to truly grow into a different arena, because if it's comfortable, then that's probably the people you're already speaking to, So you got to give credit to those guys out there, man. They built it and they have come, and it's a completely different business model in many ways too. And the golf is just part of it. It's the leading factor. They're all there because it's a tournament, but is it, are all those people around there because they're fully invested in the golf tournament? Of course not. They're just there because it's fun. It's got good energy. And that's how you grow the game, is that experience is what you want it to be around that particular sport.
Good ideas. I think one of these tournaments should hire the three of us as a consulting firm.
Yeah.
We can talk through those gambling games. It will only cost you 6 figures or so. Give or take.
We'll talk about what that fee would be.
Our people can talk to your people. All right, let's switch gears. I want to talk about people's the regular folks' actual golf game, right? Because a lot of listeners are in areas where it's been cold. You've been shut up indoors somewhere. I don't know why you still live there. You should be smart like us and Travis and live in Florida and Georgia, and you can play golf literally 50 weeks out of the year. But there's some people out there that are doing that, and they're about to get back into the swing of things on the golf course here very shortly. So I guess from your perspective, one of the top instructors out there, you need to follow him if you don't already, at Travis Fulton Golf on Twitter and Instagram especially. But talk to the people. What are some things they need to be doing, they can do right now, maybe in the home, before it's time to get out and go do their thing?
Well, I think, the first thing is, I think you should look at how are you capable of using perhaps your body a little differently this year. Like you think back, okay, how am I using my pivot, my body in the golf swing? Am I maximizing my turn, the wind up? Am I turning my shoulders? Am I turning my hips? And if you're not turning your hips, you need to turn your hips, and get your right hip turning back, lose a little flexion, and let your shoulders turn. And then from there, you can, now you're more likely to kind of shift and unwind. And as simple as that sounds, like teaching people how to just kind of wind up better, in particular using their hips, gets things like moving in the right direction, right? And all of a sudden they're capable of creating more speed. The whole notion of like turning your upper and not your lower in the backswing, you want to get that out this year. Like make it a goal that I'm going to fully maximize my ability to turn my body to its potential in the backswing. Like that'd be a good goal for most. Like that would really be a good goal to seek that out. And I just gave you the idea of like, okay, turn my right hip. If I'm a right-handed golfer, I'm going to turn my hip back. I'm going to let my right knee lose a little flexion. And I'm going to let my left shoulder come across. And I'm going to feel my right glute just activated like Tiger. And then I'm just going to, here I come, right? I'm going to shift and I'm going to unwind. So I would start doing that. And then I would do some progression things like, all right, I'm gonna take 3 swings. The first one, I'm gonna do it. It's gonna feel like 70%. Second one, I'm gonna do it. It's gonna feel like 80%. Third one, I'm gonna do it. It's gonna feel like 100%. Then I'm gonna take a break. Then I'm gonna do it again. First one's gonna be 70. Second one's gonna be 80. Third one's gonna be 100. Each time, I'm just trying to recruit a little bit more, in the backswing, so I get my body working. The second thing is, I would get your putter out and put some balls down on the carpet right now as it snows. And I would hit a stroke and then ask yourself, okay, how far back and through did I take it? Was it equal back, equal through? Or was it shorter back, longer through? Or was it longer back, shorter through? And of those 3, the one you see the most on TV is longer back, shorter through.
Yeah.
And that might be surprising to people, but if you can get your stroke to be a little longer back, shorter through, then what happens is the pacing of the putter head tends to level out. It's more cruise control. And that's kind of an interesting thing to look at in the winter heading into this season.
I had our head pro at Champions Retreat tell me that a year ago, probably. Been playing golf for 20 years. Had you asked me that same question, what do you see most on TV? I'd have said, same distance back, same distance through, pendulum situation. And then he told me that and had me start trying to do that, take it longer back. And it's more of a, and it's crazy how much more like just center contact, like better roll I put on the golf ball doing that. And then I start noticing it on tour. I just saw it with Jason Day a couple days ago. I watched Jason Day hit a few putts, great putter. Yeah. I noticed it very clearly on a couple of his long putts. That is true. That's a great tip for those of you who don't know. We got just a couple more minutes, Travis, before we go to another segment. And if you can stick around, we'd love to have you stick around in the next segment, but understand if you got to go. Last thing I'll say is, or I want to ask about instruction, is just when people get out there on the range, give me like one thing not to do, one thing to do. I know there's a bunch, right? But like the number one thing not to do, the number one thing to do when you're back out on the range, you're hitting golf balls again, you're getting ready for the season.
I don't know if there's anything like not to do. Like golf means different things to different people, right? Some people they just want to just hit a couple drives and go, and you get it, right? And that's kind of who they are and their personality. I'm probably a little more old school in that, like, all right, get out there, hit some wedges, and then work your way up to the driver. Although it feels like there's more of, you get out there and some guys wailing on the driver and then they kind of back off. I'd say the majority on tour, they certainly kind of start with the wedge and then they kind of work themselves up. So that's, you've probably heard of that before, but I think the one thing I would say to do is you've got to hit some wedges, hit some short, hit some mid irons, hit some drives, but go over and set 3 balls down on the putting green and hit 3 to 5 putts 30 feet. That's how you get the speed of the green, right? It's interesting. Like you go over there and you're like, okay, I'm going to go get the speed of the green. And what do? They drop 3 balls down from 4 feet. Like that's not going to tell you the speed of the green. Like that's, it's 4 feet. Like it's, so you need to drop 3 balls down and hit some 30 footers and then come back the other way, and then that's going to give you a sense of the speed and then start moving your way in. So I think what I would tell you to do is hit some shots, but go over and drop some balls down and hit some sweepers, 30, 35 feet. And then off you go.
Good tips there. Good tips. So, Travis, you have time to stick around or you got to go?
I got a lesson.
You got a lesson you got to give,
Yeah.
huh? You got to give some unsuspecting guy some good golf
right
advice.
Here. We could have him on. He could hit some shots for us.
Oh yeah, maybe on another show. Listen, if you haven't already, check out TravisFultonGolf.com. Check out the Stripe Show podcast. He gets into the gambling stuff too for all you gamblers out there. He's very tied into the coaches on the PGA Tour, especially. Just told us a couple of minutes ago that Victor Hovland's changed coaches 6 times since he got out of college.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Don't do. Like that's the other thing you don't.
Don't do that.
Like don't be jumping around the coaches. Find one and stick with it, right? Take some ownership. If you see it out and it's not working, then go do something else. But don't be searching and jumping around. That's when your brain just like it's going to explode at some point.
That is a good tip.
It is.
And follow Travis. The last thing you need to do is follow Travis on Twitter and Instagram at Travis Fulton Golf. Correct? Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Twitter, Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Check them out. Travis, thanks for coming on. We'll have you
Bye, guys.
on again. We appreciate it. And stay right here on the Tour Junkies Golf Show on the Better Sports Network. We'll be right back.
Tour Junkies on Better Sports Network. Better Sports Live with Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla.
I'm going to go back to the pettiness with AD because I'm wondering, is he bitter because LeBron was so salty?
Right.
And though he was really annoyed his team didn't get Kyrie, and he put it out there on Twitter, like, is it me? Was really cute. Put a tweet out. It was like, is it me?
What did that mean to you, by the way? Super quick, because me and Antonio were like, huh? Well, we couldn't really figure it out. Do you know what that meant?
Two things. It means two things. Is it me? You don't want to play with me? Was it a Kyrie thing? Because I know he was probably, texting with Kyrie. Or is it me that this is nuts that the Lakers didn't do this? And I really don't think it was as much the Lakers' decision as the Nets saying, we are not going to let him go somewhere he wants to go.
There you go. I didn't know how to read into the maybe it's me. Legit, like you have a twofold, two-layered approach to explaining that. I'm buying what you're selling. So, all right, get back to the petty here with Anthony Davis. I just wanted to ask
So
you that
was
quick question.
AD annoyed about the potential of Kyrie coming and LeBron being disappointed? Did AD take that like, you have your friend, you played kickball together all the time, you really enjoy playing kickball, and then there's this third wheel that you hang out with sometimes, but you don't really like him, and maybe you don't want to play kickball with him?
Oh my God, like you're crazy. There's no way that high-level athletes and these, LeBron's $1 billion corporation. Anthony Davis is a hundreds of $1 million corporation, just who he is on earth, that they would resort to this, the high school cafeteria. Is that really where we're going here? That, Bron, I thought I was your boy. Now you want to bring in your other boy, and now am I really your boy? Oh man, I can't rule it out, LA. That's the
Can't
thing.
rule it out.
I want to stomp on it like an ant on the floor, but I can't.
Better Sports Live with Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla. Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific, exclusively on Better Sports Network. Or listen whenever you want on the app with BSN On Demand. Making you money in daily fantasy sports and golf betting. Tour Junkies on Better Sports Network.
What's going on? Welcome back to the Tour Junkies Golf Show on the Better Sports Network. Listen, if you haven't already downloaded the Better Sports Network app and done that, you're missing out. You can get us on demand, okay? You can get all the shows on demand. You can participate live in a lot of the shows. So download the app today. We're getting into the Genesis now. Big shout out to our friend Travis Fulton for coming on, talking through some instruction stuff. We've had a fun time talking about the waste management. Now it's behind us. Tiger's event is here in Los Angeles at Riviera Country Club. It's another elevated event on the PGA Tour. Tiger's playing. He just got done with his press conference today. Haven't had a chance to go back and listen to that. It's happened as we've been doing this show, but excited to go back and listen to what Tiger has to say. I know he's still dealing with the plantar fasciitis issue. But as we talk through this, before we get into breaking it down from a handicapping perspective, Pat, expectations for Tiger this week, what do you want to see?
I just want to see Tiger not limping all that bad. I think this is a course though that should be good for his injuries and whatever else, his ailments. It's not quite as hilly as you might see at Augusta National or some of the other courses where we've seen him on in the last year. So I do want to see that. I felt like he hit the ball really well. If you watched the father-son, which I'm sure a lot of people didn't do in December, but maybe they did, he hit the ball really well, especially his irons. So I'm looking to see what are his irons look like? What's his ball speed? Because that's when you really see, is the injury affecting him at all? So is he getting that driver out there? I'm not expecting to see him make the cut though. So I'm taking that. That's going to be you can't try to have over expectation for Tiger, especially now. So I don't expect him to make the cut, but I just want to see some good, solid play, good, solid iron shots, and maybe look like, hey, this is a guy that can maybe make a little noise at the Masters, because that's what he's building up to anyway.
Yeah. So, last year we saw him play in two events, the Masters and the Open Championship. He finished 47th at the Masters. He missed the cut at the Open Championship.
Well, he played the PGA.
I don't
remember
see that.
he made the cut at the PGA Championship.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then he struggled. He had to withdraw after. That's probably why you don't see it, because he had to withdraw after the third round. So
that's right. He's never really had great record at Riviera to begin with. It's kind of
No.
funny that that's the case. When you're looking at the odds, FanDuel has Tiger plus 156 to make the cut and minus 205 to miss the cut. Similar odds over on DraftKings. So, I mean, obviously the books aren't really buying that we're going to see, Tiger play the weekend. Obviously, you would hope he does, but it's probably not realistic. Okay.
No.
Other than that, when we're looking at the Genesis, this is kind of one of those venues where you really got to have everything clicking. We see really top end players win this thing. There's been a few outliers. JB Holmes, James Hahn won this event at like 200 to 1. But Bubba's won here 3 times. Dustin Johnson's won here. Phil Mickelson's won here. Max Homa won here a couple years ago. Joaquin Niemann won here last year. He's not defending because he's at Live. And it's kind of a who's who of ball strikers, creative players, guys with good short game. You got to have it all here at Riviera. You're going to be hitting a lot of drivers. You're going to be missing a lot of fairways, but everybody is. And the greens are tough to hit as well. The greens and regulation percentages are lower than the average on the PGA Tour, which means that short game has got to be tidied up. You got to be able to get it up and down. There's a short par 4, number 10. That's a really fun hole to watch. Guys are going to need to get it up and down for birdie there. The 3 par 5s, possibly the same way. It's similar to Scottsdale in that it's going to probably play pretty firm and fast this week. There's not a lot of wind projected, not a lot of bad weather, except it's just going to be a little cool, but firm and fast. So hit it high, land it soft onto these greens, bomb it down there off the tee, have the short game to bail you out, and hope that you like POA putting surfaces because you got a pure POA blend here on these greens at Riviera, and you've got a stacked field yet again. So I'm excited about the golf tournament. The trends would say that you have to have some experience around Riviera. A lot of the past champions here have played it before, have had good finishes before, and have even had wins on the PGA Tour before. We don't see a lot of debutantes winning on the PGA Tour or just first-timers at Riviera win over the last, 14, 15 years. So I think Joaquin Niemann may have bucked that one trend as far as Riviera experience, but he's a world-class player. Whether you like him or not, being at Live, Joaquin Niemann is a stud player, young kid, and I really miss him on the PGA Tour, to be honest with you. But that's kind of what Riviera asks of you. In terms of handicapping it, we'll get to that in the last segment. We'll talk a little bit about maybe a little bit about a few bets we like, and we'll get to our DraftKings DFS cash lineup. But I want to give you guys another bit of advice, just general handicapping advice in this segment that we've started since the beginning of this show, because we know there's a lot of new golf bettors listening potentially, or at least we hope you are, and you're trying to, get familiar with how to do this. So we bring you yet another Just the Tip here on the Tour Junkies Golf Show, giving you just something to think about as you're handicapping, as you're looking to make bets, all that kind of stuff. And it's coming to you courtesy of DB today. So you're getting a lot of me in segment 3. Sorry, Pat. Sorry, people, because you may not like hearing from me either. And then maybe we can get some first round leader thoughts. If there's any first round leader bets out there, I haven't even looked at the market, but maybe Pat can help us out on that because he hit one at 65 to 1 just a few weeks ago. But here's what I'll say. I want to talk about outright betting, and especially in a tournament like this. I say this all the time. You'll hear me talk about it all the time when I'm breaking down a player, but I just wanted to make sure we hit it from a general concept, right? Outright betting, you're betting on a guy to win, clearly, right? That's what you're betting on. Can he win the golf tournament? In most golf tournaments, you're talking about a field of 130. That's what you have this week. Most of the time, it's 140 to 150 in a regular full-size field event. That's a lot of guys that you got to beat, okay? You got to beat all those guys, right? Odds are pretty long for most players in the field. Unless you're John Rahm, Rory McIlroy, Scotty Scheffler, it's a long shot, right? But so that's what I want us to remember, because when we're looking at a field, especially like this, that's strong. I mean, this is a major championship level field. This is what we had last week at Scottsdale, major championship level. This field is stronger than the Masters field because you got all the old guys and stuff. So when you have a field this strong and you're thinking about clicking an outright bet, you have to ask yourself, I like to say it out loud. So this is my advice. Say it out loud, okay? Let's talk about a guy right now that I was tempted to click. This is personal testimony time, DB. I was personally tempted today when I was writing my DB's Big Balls betting card that you can get on tourjunkies.com. I almost put a guy on the card, Pat, who you and I have talked about a lot on our show over the years. His name is Patrick Rogers. I
Oh,
almost put him on my card
uh,
at like 100, 180 to 1, which
yeah.
obviously is a bomb, right? But we've hit bombs before. I've hit 250 to 1, right? I almost put him on the card. California guy, Stanford, hits it plenty long, playing really well right now. Good record at Riviera. He kind of checks a lot of the trends. But then I had to say it out loud. And you got to say it out loud. David, on Sunday afternoon, 5 p.m. in the Pacific Palisades in California at Riviera Country Club with John Rahm, Rory McIlroy, Xander Schauffele, Tony Finau, breathing down your neck late on a Sunday on the back nine. You got to get up and down to save a par. You got to make a 12-footer to save a par. You have got to birdie this par 5. You have got to get up and down out of this bunker. Do you trust that Patrick Rogers, with all of that going on, is going to do that and get it done? You got to say it out loud. The answer is no. You don't.
You do not.
Now, if he wins this week, this show is canceled for good. We're going to cancel the show. But you got to say it out loud sometimes and ask yourself about that. And I like to also think about, especially for the young guys, have they been in that experience before? We talked about Hayden Buckley a few weeks ago, kind of getting in that fire late on Sunday and having experienced that before, and at least have that experience under their belt, because that is another thing that really shows you what these guys are made of. A lot of times the first time around they crumble, and then they kind of learn a little bit about themselves. Did I get juiced up and I started hitting things farther than I normally do? Did I get too into this or too into that? Did I overthink it? Did I get too aggressive? Those things happen as these guys start to learn how to win a golf tournament. The best players in the world talk about how to learn how to win. And so before you click an outright, think about that, because that is key. And it also matters the strength of the field and the variance in the field. Next week's going to be a great example of a totally different situation. Next week's the Honda. It's not a designated event. It's in between two elevated events. The field's going to suck. So you're not going to have to win against the John Rahms and the Rorys and the Schefflers. You're going to have to beat freaking who it'll be. The top guy will probably be like Maverick McNeely. That's a different story. That's a different story at that point. But when you got the biggest names in the world breathing down your neck, just say it out loud, and it may save you some units from firing on some outright dude that's probably never going to do it. Okay? That's my advice.
I mean, that's good stuff, because it's real life kind of. It's not getting into the data too much, all the weeds of all the things. It's just literally simple. Can this guy win? Is he holding the trophy on Sunday? And with a guy like Patrick Rogers, especially, the answer is no.
Yeah, the answer is no.
There could be a yes. You don't have to think about all those things, by the way, DB, when you're looking at first round leaders.
That's a transition, folks. That's what we call a transition in the biz.
You don't, because what you can do is you can look at Patrick Rogers and say, do I think he can stand up to this field on Thursday and have the lead in this golf tournament? And the answer is yes, he can. And he's at 80 to 1. I wrote it down, 80 to 1.
I'll fire on that.
Wyndham Clark. We talked about, Travis was on our show earlier. We talked about Wyndham Clark a lot on his show, on our show. He's another guy. 70 to 1. Checks all the boxes here. Great putter. He can get hot, as long as he doesn't get hot in the brain, because that happens to him a lot. But Wyndham Clark at 70 to 1. Another one.
If you get brain hot, you can forget it.
So there's a lot of things with first round leaders you can do when you're not having to think about, actually, are they going to win outright? Now, those are two examples of some guys I'm looking at. I don't have a ton yet because we don't have the tee times, but these are guys that I actually like for the golf tournament. But that's kind of ties in a little bit with what you're thinking about outright winners. Hey, maybe they can't win, but you like them from a stat standpoint. You like them from a course fit. Might be a guy to throw a first round leader bet on, like a Rogers, like a Wyndham Clark, somebody like that. So there you go.
Yeah. Total difference in playing a guy like that for first round leader, or maybe a head-to-head matchup you like, or a top 20 or DFS. That's a whole new ball game. But closing the door on a PGA Tour event is hard. That's why guys play on the tour for years and don't do it, like Patrick Rogers. So there you go. That's just a tip. 2 first round leader bets that I also endorse from our boy Pat Perry. Thank you for that. Stay right here on the Tour Junkies Golf Show. We will be right back. We're going to cover our DraftKings cash lineup and keep having fun. So coming right back on the Better Sports Network.
Tour Junkies on Better Sports Network. Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray. Weekdays at noon Eastern, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
Mike McCarthy, no one really wants him as their play caller. And now, Ray, he's going to be with Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Dalton Schultz, Winnie Pollard, maybe. He's a free agent, Zeke, all these guys. Do you fade these guys now? Like, is it that much of a concern, Mike McCarthy? To me, like, the big one would be CeeDee Lamb, right? Here's a guy who we were talking about last week. We never really, at least I don't. I fail to mention CeeDee Lamb when I say, like, oh, top 4 or 5 receivers in football. Me personally, I don't immediately think of CeeDee Lamb. I don't. I think of other guys. But he's knocking on that door, admittedly. He's very close to that. Do you now dock him points because he's working with Mike McCarthy for next year?
I think that my initial lean is that it doesn't help. There's a fine line with being innovative and forward thinking and then being stable. And I think McCarthy's obviously in the stable camp. He's not going to kill the offense. He's not going to help the offense with his play calling if he's under center. Has he learned new tricks? Will he change what he did? I mean, when you've been a coach for 30 years, are you really changing much? Probably not. On balance, I would say probably a net even at this point in time, because I think we see a little more growth for Lamb, his role and importance in the offense. I think maybe we see even a little bit more of a target share situation, maybe 1 or 2 more a week. So on balance, I'd say pretty much even, but it does make you concerned about the ceiling. And I agree with you that it seems like it's capped with Mike McCarthy.
Better Sports Live with Lisa Ann and Rick Kemp. Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific.
The Lakers aren't exceeding our expectations this season, but LeBron sure is. And it doesn't seem like we've even had this conversation of like, when do we think LeBron would decide to retire? How many years has LeBron been playing in the pros now?
20. Here's the trippy thing, LA. LeBron James, most dudes start to tail off about now. Kareem and Jordan and Dirk and Kevin Garnett and all the dudes that lasted a long time. LeBron James this year, his numbers are as good as they have ever been, all right? They're maybe even better in the three-point category. He's killing it from 3, but it's amazing. You're 20. Think about this, LA. Kobe Bryant in his 20th year averaged 17 points per game. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in his 20th year averaged 10 points per game. LeBron's averaging 30.
It has to be the biggest difference with LeBron is just how much money and effort he dedicates to his body, his wellness, right? Last article I read was he spends $2 million a year on self-care, which is, cryo chamber and probably, all these different therapies that he's doing to constantly regenerate your body and trick your body into, it's like biohacking, tripping your body into believing it's younger, feeling younger. The guy takes care of himself. And it's just amazing watching how smooth he looks out there for his age.
It's not like surprising or shocking because he's had no dip in his play, right? This isn't a comeback. This is not a comeback. It's a perpetuation. It's a continuation of the greatness. I did some quick math, LA. You said LeBron spends $2 million a year on nutrition and trainers and all that stuff. That's $5,500 a day to keep the train on the tracks.
Better Sports Network. It's sports talk done better. Now back to Tour Junkies on Better Sports Network.
Welcome back to the Tour Junkies Golf Show on the Better Sports Network. It's been a fun show. We've had some fun conversation today. So yeah, I had fun talking about things that we don't have the time to talk through in our show. Solid first round leader plays out of you. I think even though you gave out just 2, I think we're going to hit one of those. I think Wyndham Clark or Patrick Rogers is going to have the first round lead. And then Rodgers at some point will, completely crap down his leg and forget everything that happened day one. Who knows? Wyndham Clark, I could see having having what it takes to get it done.
Yeah. He could be like Sam Ryder at the Farmers. Like he could hang in all the way. Maybe, Sam Ryder was up there going toe to toe with Homa and Rahm and
we've seen some kind of first time winners like Sam Ryder. We saw Davis Thompson, who's a rookie. Sam Ryder's no rookie, but we saw Davis Thompson kind of hang in there and duke it out. Seems like there's been at least one guy near the top of the board when these short outright winners are getting it done that have at least kind of put up a fight a little bit.
He's won before, but Nick Taylor last week was,
yeah. He was probably 150 to 1 last week.
Yeah.
Something like that. All right, good stuff. Let's talk about. Actually, let's do this first. Let's do our cash game lineup first, and then with whatever time left, I want to talk through something else. Pat,
What's going on here?
I just felt like last week's lineup was such a lock.
Yes.
And it was not a lock. We did not help you cash last week, and I'm not happy with it. I'm not happy with our in cash games. Like, we got to be well above 500 in cash games, and right now we're not. So we got to get this train back on the tracks. Yeah, we got to get going. So let's get it started. I'm gonna let you start. We do have to agree on the place. We got to agree on the place. So let's push back if there's disagreement.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start with the cash lineup. Playing 50-50s or double ups in DraftKings, just getting you into PGA DFS, helping you learn how it goes, how it flows, how to pick a lineup, and hopefully build a bankroll a little bit till you get more comfortable, and then maybe you advance into tournaments. All right.
Well, I think you're going to like where I'm starting here, okay? Because this is one we both like a lot. I think this is where you start a lot of cash lineups, and you go with Jordan Spieth at 8,600.
Okay. I do love Jordan here. Yes, total agreement here. He's on my betting card. I love him all the way. Hit it so good last week. Great around the greens. Love it. I'm gonna go up a little bit, and I mean, I love the three guys at the top of the 9K range. I think you could truly start your lineup as far as your most expensive player in somewhat of a balanced build with one of these three, but I'll take the cheaper one who's continuing to just play incredible golf and has a great record here, including 2 runner-ups. Hasn't been able to close the door here at Riviera, but I'll go Tony Finau at 9,500 if you'll have him.
Yes, I was hoping you were going to say Tony Finau. I was a little concerned you were going to go Xander, and I was going to probably push back a little bit on Xander. Even though I know you like Xander, I was going to be pushing for Homer or Finau right there.
Okay.
So
yeah, save a little money. Just need him to make the cut, play well. That's it.
All right. Well, we've got to drop down in the 7K range, DB. You've got to. So I think, and here's where I want to go with the 7K range, right in the middle. Adam Hadwin. I don't think he's going to win or anything like that, but I just feel he's made 8 of 8 cuts this year. Just feel like he's just a solid cut maker that we can just feel safe putting in here.
Good record here. We talked about it last night on the DFS show that we did. Adam Hadwin's like a condom. It's very safe. It feels like you're safe. You don't have to worry about anything, but it's not the most fun. It's not the most optimal. You're probably not going to win. So still love him, though. Still love him. Love the value on Hadwin. Yeah, I'm with you there. I think we can have some flexibility. I don't know. I mean, do we want to go? I mean, I'm tempted to just go down to Patrick Rogers. I don't know that we have to, so maybe we should, because that could be a little hairy to have Patrick there. Okay, I'm gonna go Wyndham Clark, 7,800. You just talked about him, first round leader. We both like him. Wyndham Clark, 7,800. That still allows us to have a couple guys in the 8K if we want it.
Okay.
Now it's decision time.
Well, there's a few in here that I really think that that we could go with, and I think I'm going to put a little pressure on you. Actually, no, I'm not, because I was going to go Jason Day, who I like a lot. But you kind of talked me out of him on the show last night because I think I might play him some still, but he doesn't have the greatest history here, and I feel like he could burn us a little bit.
Okay.
So I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to take Ricky Fowler.
Yeah, I like it.
I love Ricky right here.
Yep, me too. Okay.
Now you got some room.
Typically, I wouldn't do this. I mean, we can leave. Listen. When you're building these 50-50 and double up lineups, you don't have to spend all the money, but you probably should. You probably shouldn't leave a whole lot on the table. It's not like a GPP tournament lineup where you probably need to leave some on the table to be, to avoid duped lineups. Hideki is really the play here for me at 8,200, which leaves $500 on the table. I love the lineup, so I don't think we have to change anything, but it does. If this is a tournament lineup, I'm completely fine leaving that on the table. I don't even think twice about it. In a cash lineup, it makes you go, okay, well, could I get even more security if I go up from Hadwin or Wyndham Clark, and use the $500.
That's exactly where I was going. I'm a little nervous about Wyndham because I like the fact that you put Hideki in there, and then we get some good options if you pull out Wyndham. You get a Matthew Fitzpatrick.
Mm-hmm.
You get a Justin Rose who's been fantastic. You get an Adam Scott who plays really well here.
Yep.
I like our options if we take out Wyndham Clark and leave Hideki in there.
Oh. You know what? What if we do this? What if we surprise Will and we make Will decide? What if producer Will has some skin in the game? Will, what do you think here? Do we leave Wyndham Clark? Do we put in Adam Scott? Do we do Fitzpatrick? Do we do Justin Rose? Tyrrell Hatton's in there. Put it in the chat, Will. Let us know.
is in there. Siwoo Kim is in there.
Siwoo's up there. Yeah. Will, we're putting the pressure on you. We didn't tell you we were going to do this, so surprise. Okay. Will's putting it in the chat. He says Scott has one more in him. So he's going Adam Scott.
Okay.
We'll take it.
All right.
Now we can have producer Will has a little skin in the game of the Tour Junkies Golf Show, which I'm happy about. It's about time. Okay, thank you. So there it is. There's the lineup. It's balanced. Remember, all you're trying to do is get 6 guys to make the cut, play the weekend. If you do that, 99% of the time, you're going to be cashing in 50-50s and double ups. The lineup starts with Tony Finau at 9,500. Then we go to Jordan Spieth at 8,600, Hideki at 8,200, Adam Scott at 8,000, Ricky Fowler at 7,900, and Adam Hadwin at 7,500. That is your 50-50 or double up lineup for the Genesis Invitational 2023. I guess with a couple minutes we have left here, Pat, I wanted to just talk about the state of our own game. As we get into, spring is around the corner. We're going to be playing more golf. I don't know. We had Travis on the show. We'll start with you, and maybe if we don't get to me, we can do that next week. But just State of the Union address for your own game right now, Pat.
Yeah,
Travis wanted to pull up a video and make fun of you.
Well, he did, and there's been a lot. On the show last night, he showed one of my worst swings at Carnoustie, which I was a mental wreck the whole day at Carnoustie. It was just that course does that for you.
I was actually a mental and a physical wreck that day because I got like hay fever in the middle of
it. It was crazy, but I feel good about my game. But you know what I did, DB? I actually had my first lesson last week in a long time, the reason I did it was I want to do it now because. Even though, you talked about how much early in the show we can play golf here in the South. We do got a lot of opportunities, just not that cold all the time, so we can get out and play. But the tournament season, the things that we're going to be doing are going to be starting in like April, May through the summer. This is the time to really start to work on your game. So that's what I'm doing. I'm finally getting a lesson. I've got to move at the top, a little thing. It's a little bit nuts, so I got to get that worked on. So as confident as I am about how I've been playing, I'm making a few changes right now, DB. So I guess if you want one word for the state of my game, it's transition. It's transitory, DB. It's transitory right now. Okay.
Well, since we only got a couple minutes, we'll stay on your game. I mean, Pat, I feel like I've been preaching to you for years to take lessons consistently. Not like the one lesson to like tune you up before a member guest or a Scotland trip or anything like that, but like to just take some lessons consecutively and build, break it down, build it up. And I'm very happy to see you do it as your friend, as your partner in crime at TJ's, your member guest partner. It makes me happy. I do think that I do think that you've got some things in there that are great, and you've got some things in there that with a little bit of change is going to probably make a big difference. So I think
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, the people listening should take that into account. Don't spend all that money on new clubs and irons and drivers. Forget all that. Your clubs are probably fine. Damn, you're probably going to spend $400, $450 on a new driver. In most places, if you go to like a public course, you could probably buy 4 or 5, maybe 6 lessons for that amount of money. That's great. If that's all you do, maybe even just buy short game, like just buy 4, 5, 6 short game lessons. If you don't want to work on like a big swing change, do that. And it's probably way better for your score and your game, your mental health than spending all that money on a driver. So that's just the tip from golf instruction side. Thanks for listening to the Tour Junkies Golf Show on the Better Sports Network. We'll be back next week for the Honda. The field sucks. Enjoy the Genesis Invitational.